Sergeant Lou Daigle receives a call about a naked guy walking into a restaurant and putting ice up his butt.
311 man is a man with no clothes on or exposing himself.
If the government really wanted to stop drugs from coming into California or into the United States, it could be stopped.
Pretty bad. He's over there naked.
The name Sherm comes from people dipping Sherman cigarettes into vials of PCP.
It bothers me to no end that so many young people are on Sherm now.
Hey, Sherm is one of the worst drugs that I ever seen in my life. Saying somebody that used Sherm, whoa.
Your mamas will call your daddies when they call my daddy. I'll press him 1,000,000 times and color me. Mama, we black or white, color him blind. Money won't eat money. I'll sue, arrest you, or get up a zipper. Mama said wash him hours later after he's
I've seen guys get butt naked and run down the street.
Butt naked and wallow in the dirt and the mud.
I seen a guy get asshole naked. I seen a guy get asshole naked in the rain and hump on the ground like he was with a woman off of PCP. That about a bitch.
Church will pimp a whore backwards, sis or slapper. Both your asses, kids. Kids kill eggs on drugs, kids. Pop a firecracker, crackers. If you're Halloween,
We're gonna go ahead and pick you up and we're gonna put you on our gurney, okay?
Okay, we're gonna say journeys to grannies, Jeezy's easy.
All right.
Watch the please me clean up my mama's whores.
So I'm gonna lift you up and put you on my gurney, all right? Just chill out.
Journeys with gods or devils with Jesus is as your mama said titties gotta squeeze they self. Excuse t-shirts, they won't walk. Mama, I'm scared to wash my back. I got beat too much.
He's in custody right now for certainly under the influence of PCP, certainly for the vandalism. He's also probably for ADW against a police officer because he was throwing glass at the police officers. Once again, completely incoherent as drug-induced crime, really.
Right.
Sunny girls pray for God. We'll walk them for 5 minutes. Ears and titties.
When we came in, his back was to us. He was reaching over for the ice. He was trying to cool himself off.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, he was here naked.
I heard he was putting ice down up his butt and doing all kinds of stuff.
All around him and started throwing everything around.
In downtown, the Baltimore police
He got loaded in them.
No sane person will tell you that drugs like PCP or crystal meth should be made available to the public. But how do you stop things that people can cook up on their own?
People have learned that they can cook up drugs, and so they're experimenting now more. And I believe we will have a whole menu of new drugs. And these drugs will not be regulated because the government has driven drugs underground.
We've told kids that marijuana is just as dangerous as methamphetamine, and kids have tried marijuana, and they recognize that it's not a dangerous drug. And then they go and try methamphetamine, and, now we're back to kids and their understanding of these things. And, so many of them put methamphetamine then in the same category. Gee, if the government's lying to me about marijuana, they must be lying to me about methamphetamine also.
It's a ploy. Well, this drug money funds terror. It's a ploy.
Ploy.
A manipulation.
Ploy.
Drug money funds terror. I mean, why should I believe that?
Because it's a fact.
A fact.
F-A-C-T, fact.
So you're saying that I should believe it because it's true. That's your argument.
It is true.
since 9/11, the only thing that's really changed around here in my neighborhood are the attitudes of the police. You know, the gangs are now the new terrorists.
I mean, how tough security's gotten since 9/11, it's like really like, you know, how the drugs coming into the United States now, how? I mean, you know, I don't have an airplane, you know, I don't have a car that's gonna make it with California plates to Mexico and back to Colombia. I can't even drive to Colombia.
Yeah, so it gotta be
I don't have a boat.
It gotta be flown or shipped.
There's a great line in the movie Boys in the Hood where Larry Fishburne is saying, hey man, we don't grow it, we don't own any airplanes, we don't have any laboratories. How does it get here? Why does it get here? And that's a very good common sense approach that intuitively the people in South Central understood, that there was something much bigger than them that was moving the whole drug issue and the drug war.
My parents were staunch Republicans. Back in the 80s, the big concern was not terrorism, it was communism. The Iran-Contra affair was one of the biggest political scandals in U.S. history. Members of the Reagan administration, headed by Oliver North, engaged in the sale of arms to Iran. The proceeds from these illegal deals were being used to fund the Contras, a right-wing guerrilla group that Reagan referred to as his freedom fighters. The Contras were fighting the Soviet-backed Sandinistas for the domination of Nicaragua.
The Iran-Contra is very important in history. We have to remember the fact that Iran-Contra, its mandate was to investigate the sales of missiles to Iran.
Former DEA agent Celerino Castillo not only fought in the international effort of the American drug war, he also had the rare opportunity of carrying a camera and recording some of the regrettable actions of the DEA and CIA while they supported President Reagan and Oliver North's Contra movement.
George Bush Sr. came to Guatemala on January 13, 1986, and he approached me and asked me what I did there at the U.S. Embassy, what my job description was, and I told him I was a DEA agent working international narcotics investigations, and I told him, look, you know, we have gathered intelligence that the Contras are involved in drug trafficking down in El Salvador. And then he just smiled, shook my hand, and walked away from me. And it was then and there that I knew that my government knew that these atrocities were occurring.
They were so concerned about giving the guns to Iran and all that stuff. The question should have been asked about all that cocaine flying back over here.
In 1986, on American TV, we were all being fed a steady diet of,
we're taking down the surrender flag that has flown over so many drug efforts. We're running up a battle flag.
This scourge will stop.
But regrettably, back in Central America and in the jungle,
I remember down in Central America, we were refueling planes full of cocaine coming into the U.S., and it was a CIA operation being run by the White House.
At the same time all of the cocaine from Nicaragua was flowing into the U.S., Freeway Ricky Ross was at his heyday.
The average week would at least be $2 to $3 million, almost guaranteed. Some days we would have $2 and $3 million days.
After Freeway Rick was arrested, an investigative journalist by the name of Gary Webb uncovered a link that connected him back to the Nicaraguan Contra movement.
So I read Dark Alliance. I got a copy personally from Gary Webb himself. And to read the book, it was fascinating for me, you know, to find out that I was connected with the CIA and all these high-powered people up in the government.
Ricky Ross was just lucky. He just happened to get a source who was connected to the CIA.
For a long time in South Central, the buzzword was that the CIA was selling crack. And I said, no, the CIA wasn't selling crack. The CIA was importing cocaine. Ricky Ross got it, turned it into crack, and he sold it.
According to Gary Webb's Dark Alliance, when Danilo Blandón was displaced from his home country of Nicaragua, he set off to America to raise money to aid the Contras in ridding his home from the invading Sandinistas. When Ricky Ross was introduced to Blandón, Blandón was in a position to create a pipeline of cocaine that he in turn gave to Ricky Ross on consignment.
Which I like the sound of that, you know, because I was always trying to get to the top anyway.
Suddenly, some major sources opened up for him. Danilo Blandón, Norwin Meneses, both of whom were tied to the CIA and the Contras, and Gary Webb did a masterful job of breaking those stories and proving with documents that that was the case.